Welcome back to the PT Graduate Podcast. And today my guest is Matt O'Day. Good to see you, Matt. Thanks for joining me.
No problems, no problems.
So you let me whiz down the list of stuff. So you're the owner and director at Coast Academy, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
That's right.
You're a black belt professor. I don't know what that means, but I understand the black belt bit. So I'm keen to know about that. But you're a serial entrepreneur. You've owned numerous businesses, so you've come into this industry with a decent background in business and quite a broad spectrum of experience. And I think that's probably something that's going to be a useful thing rather than coming in completely green. So you'll have lots of juice to share, I'm sure. So some of the things that you guys do at Coast Academy is you've got obviously the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like I said. You do kickboxing, you have an MMA program, there's some wrestling, self-defense. There's a whole bunch of different stuff in there, which, a broad range of services, but different, right? It's, at the end of the day, it's sort of the equivalent of a gym, but it's a totally different type of gym. So that's why I wanted to chat to you, because it kind of just opens up people's minds to the type of options that are out there and not just, equipment that you'd see in the usual traditional spaces.
Yeah, for sure.
So what, I guess what got you into it? I mean, I know it's something you've been interested, you've been a practitioner yourself, but what got you into it, as a full-blown business with multiple sites?
In my own gym?
Yeah. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, first, but then, and then obviously it led to a business.
Yeah, well, I've been doing martial arts ever since I was probably 13 or 14. I started after I had a serious back injury. When I was quite young, I had a spinal fusion, and I was extremely inflexible after the spinal fusion. So,
right.
I wanted to do martial arts, so Mum got me into Taekwondo when I was young, and that helped me get my flexibility back. And then, sort of early 20s, I switched to boxing. So I did traditional boxing, and I did that for quite a long time. I ended up running my own boxing gym with another mate of mine, Monty Barner, and we had another guy in there, Ivan Walker, who used to run the kickboxing side of things.
Yeah.
Another friend who used to do Wing Chun Kung Fu. So,
wow.
So probably could be considered one of the earliest mixed martial arts gyms in the country, because we had the space and we had a lot of different people inside that space. But there was no groundwork or anything at that point. And so one of the guys I used to box with, Mitch, he started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he kept on hassling me to come along and train. And I was like, no, I'm all right. I don't want to. I don't see the benefit of any of that ground stuff, and he eventually got me along to one of the, and I got absolutely smashed, and I hated the feeling of being really uncomfortable and out of my depth, and it sort of drove me to get better at it. So I guess from that point on, I was pretty addicted, and eventually the boxing sort of went to the wayside, and I ended up doing more and more of the jiu-jitsu. One of the gyms I belonged to as well, one of the jiu-jitsu gyms, they did MMA as well. So I ended up doing the MMA, and obviously my boxing background helped me with that as well. So yeah, I got more and more involved with that side of things.
Interesting. And you've competed as well, haven't you? You've attended a number of different competitions and won a few trophies.
Yeah, I've tried to compete in everything that I've done. So I've competed in amateur boxing. I had a couple of pro fights. I've had a couple of MMA fights. I've had many jiu-jitsu fights. I felt little except for purple belt, because I was riddled with injuries during my purple belt, because my ego was got in the way and I refused to tap, so I just ended up injured all the time. So which wasn't beneficial in the long run.
Right.
So I've definitely learned how to tap a lot faster these days.
Is that advice that you give now to others?
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell people to tap their way to black belt, because if you're off the mats, you can't train. If you can't train, then you don't improve. So it's better to tap regularly and then try to figure out the mistakes you're making and try to correct them, or figure out how you got into that position in the first place, than try to get out of something, be injured, and spend 4 or 6 weeks off the mats. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Smart approach.
Yeah, it's just a mindset change, and I think we breed that into our team, and that way it's better for business as well, because if you're constantly having people injured and they're wanting to stop their memberships, then that doesn't help grow the business either.
No, exactly. So it's a smart business move as well. Absolutely. Yeah. So so you've done some PT quals at AUT.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And so was that so that you could do more in the space in terms of, well, seeing clients, or what was the angle with that?
Not really. I don't really enjoy doing the PTs or one-on-ones, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I prefer group trainings. It was, I guess, more of a validation towards opening and running a successful gym, understanding different aspects from different people's perspectives, and just getting a more holistic approach to where the health and fitness industry is, and how to, maybe get some ideas on how to structure things a bit better. And so not really to do with doing or writing specific programs, because our programs are slightly different. I am very systematic and program focused, especially for our beginner programs, our MMA beginner programs. And I believe without systems, you'll set yourself up for failure. You just go around in circles and you have no objective.
Yeah, absolutely. And is that approach something that you've sort of brought with you from previous endeavors in terms of business, the whole approach to business with systems and processes?
Yeah, sorry, you cut out a little bit there, but yeah, I think I got what you're saying. Yeah, I think being systematic in any business is important, and we've created, well, one of my other businesses created a online and application for job management, job tracking, time tracking, material tracking, quoting, and I think that systemized approach and using technology to your advantage actually helps you create a more professional business. We have like any other gym, we have online tracking systems for students. We have belt tracking systems. We have, I write programs and make sure that those programs are rolled out to my different instructors as well. So I think, it's not to be a cookie cutter type situation, but I think if we've got beginners programs running, they can't go to one coach at one place and get one thing and then go to another place that's being run by me and have something completely different. There has to be a lot of continuity with what you're doing.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. So are there specific software systems that cater to your kind of business as opposed to, say, a more traditional gym? There's quite a few. There's like Zen Planner, there's Martial Arts on Rails, there's quite a few of them. We use Martial Arts on Rails. Right.
Basically, the only difference is that you can track you can track the amount of classes that people take, but they also relate to belt systems. So you can create customized belt systems. And then when you do your promotions, you basically just select who's being promoted, when they're due to be promoted, and then click a button and they will go up a level, then you can track exactly what your students are doing. Because, our gym's gotten big enough now, thankfully, that we have different instructors teaching, and we have 5 morning classes a week, and sometimes I don't even get to see those people. So without a systematic approach, I would never know when those people are due for their grading, so they just get left behind, and that could cause frustration. You know, at least if I'm alerted that they've done enough classes, I can then speak to the instructor involved, see what their progress is like, and then talk about getting giving them a stripe or getting them to grade up.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I guess not just keeping track with multiple coaches, but having multiple sites makes it an even more dynamic situation where people may be able to shift from location to location. You know, if they move house or if they're traveling or whatever, just creates seamlessness.
Yeah, so we've actually worked with the developer of the system because we've got 3 locations.
Yeah.
One in Silverdale, one in Warkworth, and we've also got an affiliate program now based in Wellsford. So we've basically can separate out the gyms, but manage and monitor the gyms globally or individually. Test the work for your affiliate program.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to know what's going on with all of our members in order to make informed decisions, I guess, which, like any business, you have to have the data to make informed decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes complete sense. So it is a different type of gym environment for people to I guess exercise, to keep themselves fit and healthy. What's the attraction, do you think? What is it that your members are seeking that traditional gym members may not be, and it seems like it's growing as well?
Well, obviously the UFC has a huge part to play in that, and other bigger organizations have a huge part to play in that, but also one of our main focuses is on the kids, and so the kids are our bread and butter. They're what keep the club going, because the parents are involved with the kids. They bring them down all the time, whereas adults can get outside and they put the jug on, then sometimes they don't turn up, so I think that the atmosphere that we've got at the gym is a real friendly atmosphere, and I try to make sure that there's that if a new person comes in, they're invited in. We introduce them to everybody. We make a point of welcoming them at the end of the class to make sure that they're felt welcome. So, because it's a big step for someone to come in to a fight gym and feel comfortable. A very nerve-wracking process for somebody to come and do that, So we try to make those people as comfortable as possible, and then I guess word of mouth is the next best thing for people to come on board, and just splitting the programs as well. So it's not just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We've got the kickboxing, which is actually full of like mums and some of the Jiu-Jitsu's wives come to that. Jiu-Jitsu guys' wives comes to that class as well, and so we make that class really fun and really interactive with everybody, and so I guess it's the group and making people feel like they're part of a team rather than a bunch of individuals that's made our gym, I guess, the drop-off rate a bit less than some of the other gyms out there.
Brilliant. Sounds like a very strong community.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a lot of kids now, and a lot of the kids, their parents start to jump in. They come watch and they think, oh, I'm going to start this, and then it's something that they can do with their kids. Father, son, mother, daughter, mother, son, whatever the combination is. Families in there with 2 kids, mum and dad, they all train. So it's really, really good.
Fantastic. Sounds like it's one of those things that once you get going, it's something you struggle to give up, because it's quite addictive, and that sense of community is really, really strong. I guess thinking about how martial arts or most other clubs run, it's based on a reward system, right? So if you just I don't know, like a boot camp, for example, yes, your goal is to get fit. Your goal is to get active, maybe lose a couple of kilos, but sustainability of that over years
is probably relatively low. You probably get a high turnover of people because they'll do the same thing for a little bit, then they might get bored and they might move on. In my experience, whereas a martial art, of the fact that you can get a new grade, and then you can go up a belt level, and you can go up a stripe, and then you can go up a belt level. It's that reward system for the kids and the adults that keep them coming back. Like, I would imagine if we didn't have belts and stripes, the drop-off rate for the kids would be extremely high, because there's nothing for them to attain. There's no goal for them to get to. Whereas to keep them going, they get a stripe at the end of the term.
Right.
Once they've got 4 stripes, then they go up, and then it continues on from there.
Gotcha.
And that's a continuous reward process. And at the end of every term, they feel really good because they've got their belt or their stripe, and then that keeps them coming back for the following term. And it's the same with the adults to a certain degree, but a little bit less.
Yeah. It makes total sense because it, as you say, it gives them that reward and something to achieve, but at the same time, it works for you as a business owner because you've got that continuity of attendance. And why would somebody halfway through want to stop achieving?
Exactly. And it's something you can talk to the parents too about, they're really close to getting the next bout, just keep them going for another term. So it's another add-on rather than just letting them disappear. I had a friend of mine who ran an outdoor boot camp training program, which was a franchise. And they obviously saw the meaning in what that sort of thing would do. So they had different colored t-shirts, so you came to a certain amount of classes, you got the next level t-shirts. I've done 50 classes or whatever it might be. So they feel like they've got something to attain to, some sort of goal, and something that I guess the owner can go back to and say, oh, you're really close. You've only got another 5 more classes to go, and it's a perceived value. At the end of the day, it's a piece of insulation tape on a piece of material, but the value of that insulation tape on that piece of material is actually quite substantial. Even there's a lot of that cry when they get their black belts. Is a very emotional belt level. It's because it takes most of us between 8 and 10, 12 years. It took me 13 years to get my black belt. And multiple surgeries and a lot of time away from your family, a lot of injuries, a lot of getting smashed, and getting kicked back down again, and getting back up again and carrying on the journey. And that's why I think there's a lot in somebody's journey on stickability, willing to stick something extremely difficult out.
Yeah. I mean, not a bad thing for a CV either, considering it's considered a recreation for some people.
13 years of doing that and getting smashed and getting broken and getting ears that don't look that pretty.
You'd think you'd played a lot of rugby. That was one of my questions actually. Was how long would it take? So if you were going to get one of these little installation things per term, and you got 4 of those a year, then you'd go up a belt every year. Is that about right?
Well, kids and adults are different. Kids have different different stipulations to the adult belts. So jiu-jitsu is quite unique as well. Brazilian jiu-jitsu especially is quite unique because there are different sorts of jiu-jitsu. There's Krav Maga, which is Israeli jiu-jitsu. There's Japanese jiu-jitsu, and then there's like Brazilian jiu-jitsu is the art that we do, and we have a belt system for the kids, and so you can't get your blue belt until you're 16. So that stops any kids from becoming black belts or which. So like the common thing is, the common joke in jiu-jitsu is you'll talk about belts and somebody at a party will say, well my 12-year-old son's got a black belt in karate, and so I guess that sort of takes the manner of the belt system within those sports, because there's been real no trials or tests or adversity that you've had to go through in order to get your black belt. So the kids have a series of belts that they can go through as a child, but they can't get their blue belt until they're 16. They can't get their brown belt until they're 18. There's stipulations. They can't get their black belt until they're like 19 or 21 or something like that. Like for example, Jaden, my son, he's been doing it since 21 now, so he's been doing it 16 years.
Yep.
And he'll get his brown belt next year, so that's a long time to be doing a martial art without getting your black belt, so that's why the belts are really very well respected within the martial arts community, because they're very hard to attain.
Yeah, and so they should be, I think.
Yeah, me too.
So what happens after black belt? What do you have DANs? Is that right?
Yeah, so we have degrees. So I've got one stripe on my black belt, and so I'm a belt now. So basically, there's time stipulations as well. You have to be active and involved, but every 3 years for the first 3 stripes, you get a stripe after every 3 years.
Okay.
So I'm in my 4th or 5th year of being a black belt. 4th, I think. I don't know how to lose track. So after 6 years, I'll get another one. After 9 years, I'll get another one.
Gotcha.
And then it goes up to every 5 years. So, so by the time you get your 4th degree, there'll be 3, 6, 9, 14 years, something like that to get your 4th degree black belt. So it's a long journey, So I think, and then after so many, I think after 5th one, I think you go to red and black. And then you go to red and white, and then only the founders can go to red. But I think I'll be long using my Zimmer frame or in a wheelchair or dead by the time I get to that next level.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to walk as it is.
It's fascinating. So are those rules that you just sort of described in terms of the ages and the colors and the duration to achieve those different stripes? Is there a governing body that sort of stipulates those things?
It's very disjointed. I would say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's no real world governing body. There's the Gracies and the IFBJJF, the International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. Then there's other federations, all sorts of different rules around different fight organizations. Some are gi in the traditional uniform, some are no gi, which is rash guard and shorts. So I would say no to that. I would say that you can be an IBJJF registered black belt, but that's only one organization recognizing your black belt. Most of it comes down from like your family tree, I would say, your lineage, and you're given your belts or your stripes from the person above you, and then they get them from their person above them, and then it filters down from there. So it's important to understand your lineage and to have a respected lineage, I would say, to give you credibility. Because there's also a few fake black belts out there as well. But they get found out pretty quickly.
Fair enough. So what sort of things, you've talked about the sort of the onboarding process to welcome people into the community. You've talked about some of your tracking systems so that you can keep on, you know where everybody is at in terms of their progress. I like those sorts of things. What other sorts of or systems or processes or cultures do you have that you may have brought with you from previous careers and different businesses that have stood you in good stead now?
Well, I guess the first one is my design and marketing background. So we probably have, I would say, marketing strategies and marketing, I guess, looks and feels in the marketplace. Even to the colours that we chose for the business, being orange. Orange for a few reasons. Orange is a call to action. It's a colour that people use for sales. We also wanted to make sure that we didn't use colours that were gang related, I would guess, because because that's important to us as well. Our ethical processes are really important to us as well. So as part of the business structure, we have sheets that we have for our instructors on how they should behave, how they need to behave. There's small things like none of the instructors can tie up any of the students' pants. None of the instructors can be alone with a student.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of safety processes that we've put in place that I guess a lot of other businesses may not have thought about. These business systems that in the long term will protect you from having any adverse reactions towards your business. Like for me, because now we've got an affiliate on board, as part of our affiliate contract, we have, you're only allowed to post up really things about the gym or positive attributes.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to post up negative things.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to post up religious or political.
Yeah.
Things on your own Facebook page, but you're not allowed to do that on the business Facebook page.
Yeah.
Even me, I'm very, very careful about never politicizing my point of views on anything to do with, politics, health, the vaccines. I keep all my opinions to myself because you never want to divide your client base based on something that's outside of the gym. The gym to go to the gym. They don't come to the gym to be preached political views or religious views.
Yeah.
So we have have systems and policies in place as well. And I think a lot of personal trainers or people in the public eye who have clients should also be very careful about how they post, what they post, because it does have a positive or negative effect on your business, whether people like it or not. People can search you up very easily. They can, and if they don't like what they're seeing, they can not be your client. So unless you're prepared to have people fall off your client base because of your views, but for me, that's not part of our business, the way we run our business.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, if you've got growth plans and you're obviously sounds like you're building this potentially affiliate group, around New Zealand over time by the looks of things, obviously starting with Wellsford and going from there, you've got to have all those things in place before those growth plans kick in, haven't you? Because you need that stable brand and the ethics that you talk about to be solidly in place before things get big, because then it's so much easier to control.
If it's not in place when you start to grow, it'll all start to fall apart. You have to tidy your own home first before you can look to tidy anybody else's.
Yeah. And I do like the branding, even though it's out of focus over your shoulder, it stands out beautifully.
Yeah, it's good. Consistency is a huge thing. For any business, people need to see your brand. They need to understand it. They need to know, if they want to go and find it, or they see me on the street with my truck. You've got the same thing. You've got a nice green stuff on your truck, and I've got all mine, black and orange. And you just keep the brand consistency across all channels, and then people recognize you when you come up. You can certainly change the message, change the imagery, but try to stick to the same theme across the board, and then you start to get and having a trusted brand is also the next key thing. It's no good having good brand recognition if you've got a bad reputation, Absolutely. And that's I guess we're at a point now at the gym where we're starting to close off our numbers, especially for the kids. We're starting to get big enough classes that I'm starting to get a waiting list, because I don't want to take on too many kids, not be able to deliver the same performance as I'm delivering the smaller classes, because that will affect your reputation.
Yeah.
So if we've got like a 1 to 10 or 1 to 8 ratio for the kids per instructor,
Right.
and I think once you start going past that, then the quality of your teaching goes down because it's very hard to handle. And then if people think you're only in it for the money, then you're, if you do have a good if you have a good system, a good process, and a welcoming environment, then the money will come, not the other way around. You don't look for the money and then offer the service. You offer the service and the money will come. The money is a side effect of doing a good job.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think some places sort of get it the wrong way around, don't they? And they they fall foul of that wrong order of events.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a classic example of kids. They go to work and they think, you pay me more, I'll work harder. Well, it doesn't work like that. Actually, you work harder and then I'll look at paying you more.
Yeah, exactly.
So they've got it around the wrong way.
Yeah,
they think they're entitled to get paid something that they should be getting paid because they've finished a course or something, when realistically, the harder you work, the more money you'll make. But it doesn't necessarily mean you've got to work harder. But it definitely means you've got to produce the right results. For me, an hour of time with 10 students is the same hour of time with 20 students, but you won't get to 20 students if you're doing 10 students.
Yeah, it's a fine balance. I guess you've probably been practicing that and working what that balance needs to be absolutely hit that sweet spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're lucky enough to have the gym to that level now, and that's another thing that I think will help our reputation, and it'll also help the stickability with the kids. Because if the kid drops off, then they may not be able to go back.
No, that's right. So some of the things that you like to do outside of work, and obviously you're very focused on your business, but I noticed that did it come out of the last lockdown where you started doing some cafe reviews and doing some filming and then editing it with some soundtracks, speeding it up, slowing it down? It was quite fun.
Well, I've always had a creative streak based on my background, and I guess just doing the videos and doing the editing keeps me in tune with my creative side of things. I mean, I'm lucky enough to do a job that I love, and it's a job that I'm passionate about. And so a lot of my spare time is taken up with actually focusing on the gym or learning new techniques and practicing those new techniques. And like I had a software business before, and I knew that I wasn't passionate about that because I'd come home and I wouldn't look at how to run a software, but look at jiu-jitsu stuff, or fighting stuff. So now that I'm doing this for a full-time job, I still watch jiu-jitsu stuff. I still watch fighting stuff. So, that's, I think, a point where you can tell that you're passionate about something. But the video editing is something that I enjoy. It's a creative outlet, and obviously I enjoy some photography as well. So I like doing those things. But outside of that, jiu-jitsu, photography, family.
Yeah. Sounds like you've got your values nailed down nicely, and you know what the priorities are for you.
Yeah, well, family first, and then everything else afterwards, But having the job that I've got actually allows me to spend time with my family, which is good. Obviously, I'm taken away 4 nights a week, but the girls do, and my wife does a couple of classes a week, so nice. they get to see me at the gym too. I've just employed my son. So I get to see him during the day, and then we work together at night time teaching the classes. So
awesome.
And he's also part of my exit strategy.
Nice, thinking ahead.
So I'm not going to be able to do this forever. So you've got to have an exit strategy as well. It's not to say I won't be involved, but he'll eventually take over a lot of the classes from me, and I'm educating him on how to become a better business business person as well. He's of online business course, and we'll get him to do a marketing course, and he's going to be doing a PT course as well when the next one's available.
Awesome.
So yeah, we'll upskill him along the way to make sure he's not just a jiu-jitsu guy in the gym. He'll know all aspects of the business as well to see how all the cogs fit together.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's great to have someone you can, I guess, you can depend on him, but you've got a nice succession plan built in there.
Yeah, well, I know he won't do, he won't let me down.
No.
He won't, because that'll be reflected in his inheritance.
Yeah.
So he'll get the lot anyway if he does a good job.
Yeah. That's superb. I like it. And I think that's probably an aspect that, again, some business people in the industry don't always have in place. They don't think about how do I exit? How do I, create value so that there's something to sell? And obviously you've got multiple locations, and there's some value in the fact that you've got clients on direct debits, and there's a consistent income, and you can demonstrate all of that stuff. But there's also value in the IP that you've talked about this morning as well, in terms of the branding and the ethics and all those other things, and those all contribute towards the final amount that a business is worth. So I think those are really important considerations to have in place, and that exit strategy is just another one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have owned businesses since I was 24. I've been self-employed since I was 24, and I've learned a lot about the benefits of putting monetary systems in place to make sure that you're not going to fall over. I've had businesses fail on me as well, so those all been good learning experiences along the way. It's not a nice thing to have happen, but you learn a lot. Like you learn a lot when you lose a fight. You learn a lot when you shut a business down as well. And I think like a lot of PTs, for me, if you're only doing one-on-one sessions, then you're always going to be limited to the amount of finances that you can bring in. So even if you're a really good trainer and you're charging $100 an hour, and you train 30 people a week, that's $3,000. Then you've probably got another 10, 15 hours of business stuff on the back end of that, like your marketing and your social media and your books and all that sort of stuff. So you're working 45 for 30. You're only ever going to limit yourself to the amount of hours that you've got. So to be able to upscale any business, you have to be able to create some form of recurring revenue stream and some form of revenue stream that can be exponentially expanded on, so and you also need to look at other revenue streams. So our revenue streams are basically gym memberships. They are clothing and apparel. Another revenue stream that we were starting to look at is starting to do competitions and tournaments as well. So we've got one planned on my planner. I think it's planned for November. For the coast to coast kids competition. So once again, we're focusing on a specific market to start with, but that can be extremely lucrative as well, and the same thing, yes, the effort you put in is the same whether you have 5 kids compete or you have 500 kids compete. Obviously you need to scale it up, you need to have more mats, you need to so there is growth factors in there. However, I think in order to make more income, you need to think about not just one revenue stream. You need to think about multiple revenue streams, but they all, should have something to do with the business that you're running, right? So another huge mistake that another thing that I've learned over the years is having single-minded focus, and having. Before, when I had my software business, my web business, the gym, you can only do those things 33%. You might give a bit more weighting to one or the other, depending on what you're passionate about. But relatively speaking, they're all going to struggle. it's not until you actually commit to doing something 100% that you're going to be truly successful at what you're trying to do, you know. And the offshoots of that can still be part of that business plan and can still be part of those income streams coming in. But they're still part of that single-minded focus. They're still part of the same jiu-jitsu or fight systems that you're trying to do.
Yeah. I like that. I think there's some really useful tips in there for everybody. And I think some of the lessons that you've learned have been really, really valuable to you, obviously, but very much appreciated in terms of content for this and for people listening. So thanks, Matt. I really, really appreciate your openness and your vulnerability and sharing some of the wins and the losses that you've had over the years, and how that's kind of culminated in the business that you've got now, and how it's successful, how it's growing, how you've kind of incorporated all the lessons along the way, and you're living, you're doing your vocation. This is your ikigai, the thing that you love the most, but are getting paid to do as well. And I think that's what a lot of us enter that in this industry to do, but don't necessarily always have the ducks in a row that mean that we can make it a sustainable enterprise. And that's kind of what this podcast is all about, is helping people try and achieve that. So awesome. Thank you.
No problems. Well, it's like anything. I find that if you're a personal trainer, you've learned how to set other people goals. You've learned how to keep other people on track. But a lot of people don't do it themselves, So you need to think about your own goals. I mean, you do it. You've got to think about your own goals as far as where you want to do more financially, and then you've got to create systematic pathways to get you to that goal. And I think if you don't have your goals, then you're just going to be going all over the show. You write a goal, you figure out what your obstacles are in the way. You figure out how to overcome those obstacles or how to get around them. And then you have a single-minded focus to actually head towards those goals, and that's the same with any business, within your relationships, within your business, whatever you want to do. If you want to do it well, set some goals, looking to work towards it.
Yeah, that's awesome, and a great note to end on. Awesome.
No worries, mate.
Thank you, Matt. Great to chat, and we'll speak again soon. Maybe do a V2.
Yeah, no problems, man. Anytime. Nice to see you, mate.
Thanks, Matt. Take care.